Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to speak about interpreting famous people's speech. You know that in every time we can face famous people's speech. How can it attract us? How can it react us? How can it touch us? How can it analyze us? And how can it draw our attention? Just for today, we will discuss today's lesson. Today, I, Usmonova Zarina, will share you some interesting information about famous people's speech features and so on. Be with us. Thank you and pay attention to this quotation. Words that shook the world. It is not the easy or simple words. They can collocate in every time of their life. At the same time, they can attract the readers, the audience attention. Today, our lesson is devoted to famous people's speech interpretation. Welcome to our lesson. Firstly, I want to speak about features of speech. What kind of features are there in our speech, in mass media, in every time? Pay attention to the two kinds of features in our speech. The first is obvious fact of the day. If you have a boring headline, your audience will think your entire presentation is boring. Yes, that goes for your videos, email, and every other medium you use to engage with your audience and tribe. Pay attention to the second features of our speech. It is which then leads to the second obvious fact of the day. The most important part of your presentation is the headline you choose, which is why I am so excited to give you this other valuable resource to use in your presentations and videos. In fact, this is something you can come back to every time you create a new presentation. And these two kind of features, two kind of things are mean significant approach in famous people's speech. I'm just presenting you Abraham Lincoln speech feature. Every time he addressed to humor, you know that humor is served for decorating, for illustrating your speech so natural and so emotive in some cases. Pay attention, benefits of using humor. It answers the question everyone wants to ask. When Abraham Lincoln was accused being two-faced, he answered with now famous. Friends, I ask you, if I were two-faced, would I be wearing this one? It means that humoristic approach, humoristic relying on speech can be made the owner of the speech so famous, so touchable, so hero or heroistic feature in his body, in his creature. Pay attention to the next famous people's speech. Successful presentations are understandable, memorable, and emotional. It is presented by Carmen Carlo. And pay attention to the words. Words are a great deal. Words should be touchable. Words should be emotive. Words should be heartbreaking. And in this case, successfulness of human being in presenting, it should be understandable, memorable, and emotional. With one sentences, you can get more information than, for example, expected. Pay attention to the next famous people's speech. Just we are interpreting Steve Jobs' speech. Pay attention to the words usage. Pay attention to the wordplay usage. Implementing all of these euphemisms or vague language or emotive language are can be illustrated. Famous people so touchable and emotive. Pay attention. I hate I hate the way people use slide presentation instead of thinking. People would confront a problem by creating a presentation. I wanted them. I wanted them to engage, to hash things out at the table, rather than show a bunch of slides. People who know what they are talking about don't need PowerPoint. The human being is appreciable. Appreciation of Steve Jobs in any cases, in any steps of his life, that life is worthy for living and worthy for analyzing, worthy for example, passing. That's why we should pay attention to each detail of the life, not, for example, showing it, not presenting it with artificial some items, artificial things. You should show it with real face, with real picture, with real concepts. And it was the approach, it was the purpose of Steve Jobs' speech. And pay attention to the next famous people. One of the most outstanding in the world of politicians, Mahatma Gandhi had a great deal, had a great role in the history of the world about about occupying the independence features of the Indian countries. Pay attention to his speech. In the democracy, I have envisaged a democracy established by non-violence. There will be equal freedom for all. Everybody will be his own master. Mahatma Gandhi was analyzed, was presented his speech for getting, for owning freedom of Indian country, and his speech can join all can or could join all the citizens of Indian countries while fighting, while struggling for freedom of their countries. Mahatma Gandhi's every time addressed to psychological and full of philosophy, or he can address to philosophy some words which are so touchable and so emotive, sensitive for human being heart. Pay attention to the next. He's belong to modern life, and it is about showing something, presenting someone, making presentation. Maurizio Lakawa said, making presentation the part of everybody's job, but it's not everybody's job. It means everybody's job can be belong to only everybody, not all of them. For example, some of you can make presentation. Some of you cannot. It is belong to reality. Someone is considered inborn ability about presenting something so successfully, but not all of the people in the world. It is about this, that the human being appreciate the inborn ability, and who can present the presentation. Uh, One can, but who cannot, it will not be so successfully. Pay attention to the next famous people's speech, which was considered and is considered nowadays so motivational. The revered Martin Luther King. His speech is considered so motivational, for hopeful for everyone, for emotive, for touchable, for it's so sensitive for everyone who read, who listened to his speech. Pay attention. I have a dream speech delivered on August 28th, 1963 is one of the finest pieces of oratory in human history. It blended masterful, rich language with the oratorical technique of repetition, and it was utterly fearless. King would be dead by assassin's bullet less than 5 years after delivering his most famous speech. His words were no more rhetoric, they were an affirmation of the value of human life and the expression of cause for which he would give his own. And he said, I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold, we hold this trust to the self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. It was about American dream, and which is belonged to Martin Luther. When our future president, then a candidate for the US Senate elections, Barack Obama delivered a 17-minute speech on the evening of July 27, 2004 at the Democratic National Convention endorsing presidential candidate John Kerry. The personal trajectory of the man and the history of the entire nation shifted dramatically. Already an up-and-coming politician gaining traction in his home state of Illinois, Obama's keynote address and night transformed him to international figure and paved the way of his journey, becoming the first photos of color. What was about the speech that so moved the country? And pay attention to his speech. They are full of repetition, full of emotive language, full of some word playing or play word structure. There is not a liberal America, a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a Black America and white America and Latino America and Asian America. There is the United States of America. And we are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the stars and stripes, all of us defending the United States of America. In the end, that's what his election of is about. Do we participate in a politics of cynicism, or do we participate in politics of hope? Pay attention to the each line of his speech. He tried to address to repetition, repeating something. It's about the main thing for drawing someone's attention. It's the main thing, the process of calling audience attention. And it was about the Obama speech effectiveness. We can call all celebrities' speech so emotive, and we can call in all famous peoples some collocation, some repetition, some stories, some humors, and they have their own style. They have their own implementation in presenting their speech. And in mass media, it's also considered as a great deal. And thank you for your attention, my dear students. Next time we will speak about another new things. We will investigate new things. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye. See you.